Peace and welcome to World War Wrestling. I'm about to record a lot of episodes back to back to back. So if I'm wearing the exact same coat, that's why I'm wearing the exact same coat, okay? Alright. So the first one up is Raw. Miz and Dominic Mysterio. And I'm recording this on Friday. I believe that I watched SmackDown, the going home show before Royal Rumble, and this is also after watching like multiple other things. So I think the way that I really want to do this, and also to like save myself a lot of sanity, like let me take one moment for real. I really got to change the format of how I'm doing this. Because I just got done watching this dude on The Second Thought talking about how hard being like a content creator is and the creator economy and how so many YouTubers are quitting. And like I'm telling you, last week I put forth like an amazing effort to like making this project come true. I have so many videos recorded right now that I would love to show you and I would love to like put out there for you. I've been sick for a little bit. I've been focused on the Wealth Health Success Challenge. You may not be able to join this challenge, but you might be able to join the next one. I'll leave some hope for the future that this is gonna develop and grow. For anybody else than just for myself. So I'm gonna compare Monday Night Raw with Wednesday Night Dynamite. I like the way that sounds. I'm going to do NWA when it's back available and NXT. I'm going to do TNA, ROH, and then I might watch New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just like I might watch MLW. Those two I really kind of want to get to. And then SmackDown and Rampage together, and then Collision with any PLEs that might come up. This is my schedule for right now. I don't know how this is going to change in the future, but this seems far more manageable than doing like what is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different videos in a week. I can maybe do 5 videos a week and take a different approach and a different take on this. Because I really love the other guys that do this. And that's what really inspired me to want to kind of get into doing this was Jim Cornette, Coma, Mikey, and Wrestle Talk TV as well. I've been watching their content, some longer than others, but for years now. And I really want to like, it looks so fun. And I don't really have anyone to talk about pro wrestling with in my day-to-day life. So talking about it with you guys who are watching is actually pretty amazing. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Even if you've only watched this much, I still appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to do AEW and Dynamite tonight because my schedule last week and just the sheer amount of pro wrestling. It's like I hit a wall at a New Japan pay-per-view. The pay-per-view was 4 hours long. And I'm like, oh my God. Like that's probably like the best time to get into it. I still have not watched it yet. I'm gonna try to watch it as soon as I possibly can, but oh my God, that's a shit ton of pro wrestling, my friend. That's a crazy amount of pro wrestling. So you have Raw and Dynamite. Raw. You have Miz and Dominic Mysterio. And the Miz, don't think he's really gotten the respect that he deserves. Dominic Mysterio has lost literally damn near every single match besides winning the NXT title he's had on Monday Night Raw. Probably would be better off on NXT. Maybe that's a pride thing. Maybe that's an ego thing. Maybe that's was he ever in NXT? They probably should have put Dominic Mysterio in NXT to begin with. so he could have built himself up. Putting him on the main roster and then putting him back on NXT, you're probably better off just firing him so that he can like go out, explore his gimmick, do something new. But he's probably making pretty good money on WWE. The whole way that he came about doing this was pretty shasty. And I think that's a good comparison to what I have on the next slot for Dynamite is the Acclaimed and the Mogul Embassy. And come on now. Try to compare The Miz and Dominic Mysterio to frickin' Max Caster and fucking just Khan, for instance. You know. So I'll just spotlight these two guys to give it some sanity. Not that his partners aren't great. You know, you got the guys that he wrestles with. But Max Caster is really the standout. Anthony Bowens is cool too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not trying to sleep. Bowens is like The Rock. And I mean that metaphorically, as in a sturdy foundation for the tag team. And I also mean that he is like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, you know. But Max Caster is who we're going to focus on now. He's comparatively just as good on the mic as The Miz is. And maybe in his very socially awkward, autistic type of way, Max Caster is better on the microphone than Miz is. I haven't heard Max Caster do an actual promo. I just kind of hear him do the freestyles to the same beat. And I'll give it to you, like, it's like one of the schoolhouse beats, you know, when guys are like beating on the table, or you got like a beatboxer like Omnicron beatbox, like doing their thing. And Khan is just a rock solid wrestler all around. You know, I'm using The Rock like over and over again, but Khan's just, he's such a hard worker. He's such a hard worker. And he's just all over the place with his wrestling. You know, he's doing mud shows. He's doing lower promotions. You know, he's on AEW already, but he has a free contract to go wherever he wants, and he does. And he's a champion in many of those promotions, you know, or was at one point the champion in many of those promotions, especially when Matt Cardona was scouring around looking for a place to call home, looking for a place to be a big name in, which once you're on the WWE and you get over in WWE, you can do that. I think Dominic is over in a type of way in which if he went to a different show and started doing something more constructive and doing something a little bit more babyface-ish, I think he would be well over, you know. Next thing up, Ivy Nile in Valhalla. Everything I've said about Valhalla, they've just brought to a screeching halt. I said she was a superstar, didn't I? I said that Valhalla was like it. I said that. I know I did. I remember saying it. I recall saying it because I said it not too long ago. I said it 2 weeks in a row, actually. And then they had to get Ivy Nile over. Okay. I guess she's never going to not be Sarah Logan. I don't know. It's kind of weird that Sarah Logan was always like the big one in the Riot Squad. I don't know what Liv Morgan is doing right now. I think she would be good in New Japan, even though I don't watch it. I feel like her style in New Japan and her getting over in New Japan would help her come back to America and do some amazing things, or come back to like the East Coast and do some amazing things. I believe there's a New Japan in California as well. Sting and Darby Allin talking yabba yabba doo doo. And I guess I should be more respectful because this is like Sting's last promo. But I'll be completely honest with you. The only Sting I know was in TNA. and I believe he retired in TNA as well. If I don't recall, I do remember him saying his goodbyes in TNA because he thought it would be the last. But I guess he was still alive and he wasn't dying anytime soon. Maybe he got sick or something. I don't know. Um, but I was like, I'm not angry about this because of Sting. I'm not disinterested because of Sting. I'm disinterested because it's Mac and Mac. I said Mac. I don't have any memories with the Young Bucks. Oh, I never watched Ring of Honor back in those days. I didn't start watching Ring of Honor until the pandemic. Honestly, um, I've no history with the Young Bucks whatsoever. I did watch a little bit of ROH, but I know that Matt Taven and Mike Bennett kind of stole their finisher, but it's a little less impressive. They seem like two people's uncles, the same way that Chucky D and Trent Beretta are meant to be taken seriously, is the same way that I take the Young Bucks seriously. That I'm pretty sure that if I got into a fight with Trent Beretta, it would probably be the fight of my life. I would definitely give him that. I'm not saying that I would win. I'm not saying that he would win, but I'm definitely saying it would be the fight of our life. Uh, if I got into a fight with Chuck Taylor and he had drunk a few PBRs, and had some Hennessy, I would love to see Chucky D off the Hennessy. But, it'll probably be the fight of my life. Um, I don't get that feeling with the Young Bucks. I feel like even if the Young Bucks were as drunk as they possibly could have been, maybe the two of them like 2 on 1, who you gonna blame fighting two men at one time, whatever. I think 1 on 1 I could probably beat up Nick and Mike Jackson like 1 on 1. I'm pretty sure I could. You know, we can sign a waiver, we can sign a contract or something, we can figure that out. But I'm pretty sure like I could fucking put you in a master lock and you're not getting out of it. I'm more than positive of that. I think I'm way fucking stronger than both of you. So I don't like you coming in on Sting's primetime days. And maybe it's the type of thing where AEW doesn't really have a heel tag team for these guys to get over on or to go against that needs to get over either. You could have had them do something with. I really would have rather seen Sting and Allen versus the Mogul Embassy if that was the last time. That's more of Darby's thing than it is Sting's thing. It's Darby has plenty of time to either join the Mogul Embassy, feud with the Embassy, start his own Mogul Embassy, whatever. Darby Allen and Slim J do some like emo boy shit. I don't know, but I don't really also know any other heel tag teams on AEW. I could maybe think of the Righteous, but I don't think he has. I think this is the type of thing in which Sting has his own personal relationship with Nick and Mike Jackson. Darby has his own personal relationship with Nick and Mike Jackson. And this is more of like Christian and Edge, even though no one really has any interest in actually seeing it. Never really thought they would see it. But it's happening because they want it to happen. Christian and Edge fighting back and forth and finding reasons to fight instead of getting along. I think this is the type of thing where Sting and Darby have a personal relationship with Nick and Mike Jackson. And it's just very sentimental to Sting personally, or whatever the fuck is the kayfabe of this is. Uh, for them to go off on a big note. I think this was supposed to be bigger than it was because, they came back with their own music. People picked up on the Wayward Son lyrics or whatever that song is. I didn't grow up with that song. I don't have any like memories of it. I know South Park Guitar Hero, and that's like my history of knowing that song, quite honestly, being played in my vicinity. Okay, Chad, Gable, and Ivar. You couldn't have two more talented guys. Someone like has to take the L, but like you couldn't have more two talented guys between Chad and Ivar. You know, I really pray that both of them figure out whatever the fuck their gimmick is. And maybe they feel like they did figure it out, and that's why they're wrestling each other instead of wrestling for a title. And I think that's maybe an issue. Chad has not let go of this Alpha Academy, Alpha whatever gimmick. And it's kind of like, it does feel like a huge little man syndrome. And I could dig it, man. I feel you. I'm pretty short too. You know, I think maybe we're the same height. You might be a little taller than me. We might be literally the exact same height. And I also wrestled just like you did. But you went to the Olympics and you did great things in the Olympics. And I don't think anyone holds that against you. But wrestlers, and I'm not talking about like professional wrestlers because I don't know what that world is like. I don't know what it's like to be in a professional wrestling locker room. I don't think I've ever actually I've met one professional wrestler, but it was like an indie wrestler. He was still his own guy. I didn't really get to know him that well. But Greco-Roman freestyle, you know, folk style wrestlers, different breed. You know, just like I just said, I feel like I could take Nick and Mike Jackson without really flinching about it. It's like if you're gonna be good at this, you have to have that kind of mentality. And when you do get good out of it, you do have that kind of like, all right, I could pretty very easily take this guy out. Okay, I might need to like figure out what's going on with this guy, but I could probably get him and angle him in some type of thing. And you do catch people up on holds. You do catch people up on points. You do just sometimes just straight up dominate somebody and take them out. And that kind of personality, when you're very good at it, it's not a very it doesn't need to be a very charismatic personality because there's zero charisma involved in what you're doing. It's like someone is like building an RPG character and they put all the points into dexterity, into endurance, you put some points into strength. You got some wisdom, some intelligence, but then your charisma is your dump skill, you know? Because what the fuck are you going to use that for if you could just literally manhandle people and mandibly maniacal of them into your will and bend them to your pleasure? You don't need to learn how to speak then. All you need to do is learn how to instigate fights and win them. And I feel like Chad suffers in a type of way in which he's like Kurt Angle, but he's more of like the PG angle instead of him being Perk Angle, he's the PG angle. He's the angle that we never got, and that's because the Kurt Angle that you got was a fucking wrestler and do whatever it takes, do whatever is necessary to completely dominate and destroy the person standing across from you. And most people don't have to have that kind of mentality, but wrestlers do. I feel like it's hard for Chet Gable to translate to a champion, maybe on a tag team because he has someone to balance him out, but to be a champion because his mic skills suck. And he could have taken an acting class, he could have taken public speaking classes, but he's hoping that the wrestling is going to speak for itself. But some of these matches are 10 minutes long. Some of these matches are 5 minutes long. And some of these matches are 20 minutes long. And you're wanting someone to pay attention to you. Like, I'm literally playing Raid Shadow Legends while talking about you right now. I wasn't playing Raid Shadow Legends while talking about Khan and fucking Max Caster. I was playing Raid Shadow Legends talking about Valhalla and Ivy though. So this is if I was gonna be doing like I do have like literally I have actually literally a bar for bar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6, 7 matches or so for each person here. I'm gonna give the first segment to Dynamite of the Acclaimed Embassy versus Miz. I'm gonna give the second one to Dynamite as well for Sting and Darby. For Chad and Ivar And Jeff Hardy versus Swerve. I'm very conflicted on this because the black talent is winning, and I should be happy about this. But Jeff Hardy, freaking, like, he, Jeff Hardy needs to go to TNA. And I know that last time he was there, he had issues. He probably left on a really bad note. I don't know what Jeff Hardy's personal life is like. I think one of Jeff Hardy's biggest issues is that he really won't go to Christ, you know? And the type of issues that he has, you can't solve them with Western ideology. You can't solve this with New Age spirituality and feel-good methods. That's what got you into this situation. I'm not going to preach at Jeff Hardy. He's a grown-ass man. But Jeff Hardy either needs to go to Christ or he needs to go to TNA. I feel like Jeff Hardy needs to have a conversation with Rob Van Dam, you know? And he needs to ask Rob Van Dam, Rob, how did you manage this when you were in my position? How did you navigate to do these guest spots at shows instead of doing years and years at these places? How did you learn how to like think for yourself and not have to tell yourself that you're thinking for yourself? You know, that's my question, you know. That's my question. Absolutely, positively, and absolutely. Swerve Strickland, you couldn't have had a more talented guy. I don't really know what's next for Swerve. Because what do you got? You got Christian having the TNT title. And I feel like he could very easily... Honestly, I don't feel like Swerve Strickland can beat Samoa Joe. And I'm not saying like he can't physically beat Samoa Joe in a real shoot fight. I'm saying that he can't beat kayfabe Samoa Joe. People's imagination of how good Samoa Joe is far exceeds however the fuck people decide who wins inside of professional wrestling. Samoa Joe is just that dude, you know? And Jeff and Swerve, Chad and Ivar, this is like really tough. I didn't expect to have to compare the two. I'm going to put like equal signs for this one. And I'm going to say they both get a point. Because, you know, I can't compare, you know, two guys that should be on AEW with two guys that one needs to be on a completely different show. Jeff Hardy needs to be an NWA. He needs to be in TNA. I would even suggest Jeff Hardy go to NWA, build some talents up, do what Tyrus did, do what Pope did, do what Nick Aldis did, you know, do what Mike Knox and Trevor Murdoch are doing. Like, do what Matt Cardona did. Like, don't think you're too above going to any of these other... Like, you're Jeff fucking Nero Hardy. You are the biggest name in professional wrestling that exists in professional wrestling now. If Jeff Hardy did some kind of pipe bomb promo on how WWE utilized him, if Jeff Hardy needed to seek the type of attention the way that CM Punk does, then, you know, it would be what it is. I feel like Jeff Hardy, more than any other substance, is an adrenaline junkie. I would love to be inside of his head and talk to him and see what he thinks about the situation, you know, because he is an older guy competing with much younger talent. Jeff Hardy has had every single moment that you could possibly imagine in professional wrestling. He's worked in the majority of the companies for the professional wrestling, and he's gotten over in every single company and been a champion in every single company that he's been in. You know, I don't really see anything necessarily wrong with Jeff Hardy putting over younger talent that he truly respects and that he truly sees a future in, because his days of wrestling are coming to an end and his style of wrestling really cuts down. I'm pretty sure Jeff Hardy accepted a very long time ago. My career in professional wrestling will shorten my lifespan, and he's just happy for every single day that he can still do this. I just can't really. I just have so many positive memories of Jeff Hardy. I honestly could not bring myself to say a negative thing about him. Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre was our truth. I take back everything I said about you, man. Minoru Suzuki versus who? Adam Copeland. I'm gonna say like with freaking Dolph Ziggler and Edge. I can understand like wanting to be famous for being who you are and not people not knowing who you are because you're always playing a gimmick and now you want to be yourself. I dig it. I didn't watch the match. Maybe I will go back and watch it. But I just have to say, like every single match that I've seen Minoru Suzuki in on AEW, he's lost. It's entertaining. He puts on a great show, but he loses every single match that he's in. And he reminds me of like a type of guy that's like, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And they're like, I'll pay you money. Okay, I'll do it. All right, I'll do it. I'm not gonna lose. I'm not. Last time this so disrespectful. You underutilized me. I got some money for you. Okay, okay, all right, okay. You know just how to talk to me. You know just how to get to me, buddy. You know what I'm doing. I'm not one of those type of people. I'll gladly take your money, but I'm not taking your money at the sake of my dignity. I'm not taking your money at the sake of being able to have my own perspective, my own opinion. But you have a lot of people that have zero morality and zero sense of like self-respect whatsoever. And I feel like Minoru Suzuki has a personal level of pride, and maybe it's the same thing with Jeff Hardy. I don't know, but I would think that when it's your first outing in front of an American audience, you don't just want to suck the dick of every fucking white guy that you come across, you know? And I just kind of feel like that's how Minoru Suzuki's been utilized. So I'm going to have to give that point to Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre and R-Truth because it really changed my perspective of R-Truth. He's a maniacal genius. R-Truth is like Ed and Ed and Eddie, you know? Wardlow and Trent Beretta gets like 2 points because, like I said, I think that's why I was talking about Trent Beretta earlier because I saw him on the show. Trent Beretta is like the toughest motherfucker on this roster. He may not be the biggest guy. He may not be the fastest guy. He may not be the fucking smartest guy. But he is the toughest fucking guy on the AEW roster. And for him to even put his hat in the ring to go against Wardlow, I know that he has ambitions of holding a title before he retires. I know he has ambitions of being a Tim Storm and running the mile and going the long haul for this. And I can see Trent Beretta when I'm fucking, let me be realistic here, Tim Storm's like 70 right now. I was going to say like when I'm 50, but I could see at least 10, 15 more years of Trent Beretta wrestling just because he loves what he does. And he's literally one of the toughest fucking guys out here. I think if Trent Beretta did some of these outlaw shows like other guys do, but he doesn't have to. It's like he could literally just be Trent Beretta every single day of his life, and he will still be the toughest son of a bitch on the AEW roster. And no disrespect to Sue, but if that really is your mom, you raised a fucking tough son of a gun. Seth Rollins versus himself is the note that I have right here. And Seth Rollins brings me a lot of pain and agony because when he said that he would sell his soul to beat Brock Lesnar, I took that very seriously, and he really like turned me off at that point. I can respect him as a physical talent. I can respect him as a father and what he does, but it just seems like the deal with the devil is coming to an end, and his usefulness to the devil has come to an end now that the devil has found a new plaything in Phillip Brooks. I don't want to shit on Seth Rollins. I don't want to disrespect Seth Rollins, but it most certainly does not take the cake versus Wardlow and Trent Beretta. I pray for Seth Rollins. I pray that he too comes out of the cross, and he can buy your soul back. You know, not everything in life costs money, but some things do cost your repentance. And whatever you're doing in your personal life, you might want to stop so that you can have your soul back. Let's go. 2 promos. Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo. Punk and Rhodes. This is so hard because I didn't actually get to see the CM Punk and Cody Rhodes promo when it aired. You know, so I had to go back and rewatch it, and I had to like do this in a very inconvenient type of way that, you know, for me to have enjoyed it, it would have had to have been really, really, really good to get through all the difficulty that I had to get through to watch it. So I imagine that if you saw this clear as day, I imagine if you saw this live, you would probably have a completely different perspective than me. But I would pretense this by saying I had to go through incredible difficulty to watch this promo, and I didn't really feel like it was worth my time to have done that. It really was not that good, considering what I personally had to go through to watch it. It was not worth that effort. I can see if you saw this clear as day. I can see if you were live. I genuinely can. This sucked. It was so fucking boring. It was so just monotonous. Like, I feel like it's the type of thing where I haven't seen CM Punk wrestle yet. And if the only time I'm going to see CM Punk wrestle is him wrestling with 50 other guys that can carry him throughout the entire match, or 30 other guys that can carry him throughout the entire match, just so he can fulfill his childhood dream and destiny and his hurt feelings of never main eventing at WrestleMania, just because Cody Rhodes is slightly younger than him, and maybe Cody Rhodes can main event WrestleMania next year. Go get him, boy. You know, who knows, who cares, who really wants to be there. Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo took what they were doing, and I think maybe this is just the type of thing in which women have a natural aptitude that men do not. Maybe this is just an arena in which women have an advantage, a social advantage on, and maybe this was the type of thing that Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo got to talk about for years or years in advance of how they would want to do this and what they would want to say, and it's like, it's a dream match. It's a love letter to professional wrestling to see Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo, and they're actually gonna fucking wrestle. They're actually going to physically engage. They're not just going to waste your time for 20 to 30 minutes talking to each other about some shit that happened over 20 fucking years ago. Oh my God, like, how weird and obsessive and petty can you be? Everyone was so obsessed with Phil Brooks coming back to professional wrestling. You know, I too was pretty convinced, but, you know, I kept watching AEW without Phil Brooks, and I'm gonna tell you that Phil Brooks is an issue, but he's an issue in a much different way that people could ever type of understand. And I can relate to this very deeply because I feel very similarly to CM Punk. CM Punk is like the modern day Raven of professional wrestling. I just have to like drink this. I've been trying to drink this thing with a straw for like an hour, hoping that it would melt, but it's just straight pineapple. It needs more juice to like get itself going. But it's cool. Maybe with a spoon or something it would be pretty good, but it's like I can't get nothing through this straw. It's a tiny straw too. So I took that sip in my thing. Sometimes like I'll get it like I didn't get a college degree, So like I'll get a job at some whatever place, and that's my perspective of it. It's like just some kind of whatever place. I have other things that I'm doing, I have other things that I'm working on. Sometimes for my financial health, sometimes for my mental health. You gotta get a fucking job. You gotta get the fuck up. You gotta get something to fucking do with your life. I feel like Phil Brooks needs a job. Phil Brooks needs something to do. Phil Brooks needs to be a larger than life fucking personality in everything that he fucking does. He needs to be absolute best in everything that he does. He needs to over excel in everything that he does. Because he's not just making up for his failed legacy, he's also making up for his father's failed legacy and everything that his father could have been and not wanting to end up like his dad. And I could feel you on that, man. I could totally understand it. Versus Cody Rhodes, who would be a dream for him to be just like his dad. It would be a dream for him to ever be as respected and as liked as much as his dad is, but he's not. And it's like he's trying to make his own legacy and form his own way, and it's very difficult for him because he's living in a mighty big shadow that he may never surpass. But I would say that Cody Rhodes has wore his polka dots, and Cody Rhodes has wore his polka dots proudly. And I'm more than positive that his father would be more than proud of him and everything that he's doing. But this promo compared to Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo, just it didn't compare in any way, shape, or form. The history between Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo, the fact that these two women have tattoos, and it's like they were like, I need to sit down for this because if I stand up, I'm knocking this bitch the fuck out. And it's like the tension, it was like so deep between the two of them. This like Deonna Purrazzo trying to get through to Tony Storm and being like, who the fuck are you? What the fuck are you doing? This isn't who I want to wrestle. It's like I feel like part of it is mind games. Because I feel like Tony Storm's current gimmick is over. When you're fucking with the lighting effects, when you're sitting there in black and white on television and someone else is sitting right next to you in living color, like, and they're telling you to snap out of it. Like, Tony Storm is like the delusion of white supremacy's past. And I don't know, man. I can't focus on their capability, not their aesthetics. Tony Storm is just over, in a way that is earned, and in a way that was built up by herself, built up over years, built up over different companies. In modern time, it's not like a 10-year hiatus, and you're waiting for him to fill this 10-year gap that he's been away for, and he's not going to be able to do it because he's only human. You're wanting Cody Rhodes to live up to being the Dusty Dream, and it's probably never going to happen, quite honestly. Cody Rhodes has to create his own legacy, be his own man, and I fully think Cody Rhodes accepts that. But Deonna Purrazzo could probably beat up both of these guys. Her husband could beat up both of these guys. And it's just, I imagine Deanna Perrazzo skipping down the locker room, minding her business, going to catering, and CM Punk says hi to her, and she just has a dog whistle. And fucking Steve Macklin hops up from under the catering table like he's been waiting there the whole time. And just fucking KO CM Punk. You know, like Steve Macklin is a Jersey dude, man. You cannot underestimate what the Lince Jersey man would go through. You can't underestimate the Lince Jersey girl would go through, man. Especially if she's trying to play clean and you keep fucking with her. You know, you're gonna fucking beat your ass, throwing shoes at her and shit like that. Tony Storm and Deanna Perrazzo, you know, I'm gonna put an equal sign next to this because quite honestly, it's very hard to compare the two. It's completely different styles of what's going on here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got a five. I got 5 points here for Dynamite. I got 3 points here for Monday Night Raw. I think maybe definitively speaking, uh, this week, Dynamite got one over on Monday Night Raw. I know Monday Night Raw is preparing for a pay-per-view, and maybe they're just not giving out their best stuff. They're trying to build up some storylines during the Royal Rumble, and I get that. The Royal Rumble is going to be a soliloquy, a marathon within itself. But I have to watch it, not you. You get to watch it by choice. I have to watch it because I do this now. And I would definitely say this was a 3 to 5. 3 points to Raw, 5 points Dynamite. Dynamite got one over on Raw this week. If this was last week, it wouldn't have ended up like this. I'm pretty sure it would have been a different type of way. This is my first time ever judging the two of these shows in this type of manner. But it's honestly just kind of like you want to believe a certain thing about Dynamite because it's a very new show and you might have a very protective mindset over WWE. I would also say that you may not be watching TNA, you may not be watching NWA, you may not be watching MLW or New Japan Pro Wrestling to have a pretty good perspective of what wrestling is like in other places and the struggles of those promotions to get over, not just individual wrestlers getting over, but the promotion as a whole needs to get over. And I think that's what a lot of people are talking about with AEW is that one star can't be bigger than the entire company, and you're not just watching the show just to see that one guy. You can't have that. People have to come to see every single match on that roster. And I think that's kind of what Dynamite has right now that Monday Night Raw just kind of doesn't. That some of these matches, some of these past weeks, we've all been just looking for CM Punk. We've all just been waiting for CM Punk. And that's it's given, it's deserved. That's the whole purpose of why he's there. But it becomes a huge issue when people don't want to watch anyone else on the roster. They don't care about anybody else on the roster. They don't want to see anyone else on the. They want to see CM Punk cream everybody. They want to see CM Punk come out during fucking Seth Rollins promo and disrespect Seth Rollins. They want CM Punk to be doing what R-Truth is doing and beat Drew McIntyre. They want CM Punk to come out and beat Chad Gable and to squash off Ivar. They want to see CM Punk and Dominic Mysterio go 20 minutes. They want to see CM Punk and The Miz do an entire Marine 10 together. You know, this is what the people want when they see CM Punk. But I don't see CM Punk going up to the Mogul Embassy and the Acclaimed and going, hey, Mogul Embassy, I'm going to squash the three of you tonight, 1v3, and let's just see how it goes, okay? I don't see that. I don't see him doing that to Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed, to be honest with you. I see CM Punk and Sting. I feel like I feel like Sting wanted CM Punk to be his final match. you know, to just think about the Cody Rhodes CM Punk thing and like this could have been, type of thing. But if you put CM Punk on the Dynamite roster, I'm no longer paying attention to the Acclaimed and the Embassy. I'm certainly not really paying attention to Surf Sting, Strickland, and Jeff Hardy unless they're both wrestling CM Punk. It would have been Minoru Suzuki versus CM Punk, and CM Punk would have hit him with the go to sleep. CM Punk would be Luther to Tony Storm. Tony Storm would have a different gimmick, and they would piss off AJ Lee until AJ Lee returned to professional wrestling. Just you put CM Punk on Dynamite, he's gonna steal the spotlight from every single person trying to get over. The reason why MLW is really difficult is because the entire promotion of MLW hasn't gotten over yet. And on the hierarchy of professional wrestling, the reason why Hammerstone is losing to Josh Alexander is because Hammerstone is. I actually think Davey Boy Smith or Jacob Fatu might be the ace of MLW, but Hammerstone needs to go on and learn more. He's still very, 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 very young. Talking about Trent Beretta, talking about Bernard Suzuki, talking about Edge. Hammerstone is still very, very fucking young and in great fucking shape. He could get a win back over on Josh Alexander in a year or so. I feel like Hammerstone reminds me of Moose when Moose first came to TNA. Just full of talent, full of potential, with zero idea of how to really bring it out because he's the best person around him. And then he is surrounded by people that know what they're doing way better than he does. And he can learn and he can grow and he can get better. I feel that's what CM Punk wants to do, but the ability to do that is very difficult if people don't want to learn from you. You can't help people that don't want to be helped. You can't give advice to people who think that they know everything. It's going to come across as an insult. You're going to come across as the bad guy. That's why I say I don't want to preach at Jeff Hardy about coming over to Christ or turning over to Islam or becoming Jewish or something like that. I don't want to talk to Jeff Hardy about religion because I don't want to patronize Jeff Hardy. He's had his entire life to figure out what he believes and what he thinks. I don't want to patronize Jeff Hardy as a grown man and tell him how he needs to live his life after he's chosen and decided how he wants to live his life. I do find it to be a little bit difficult and a little bit sad, that Sting and Darby, Jeff and Swerve, Minoru and Adam are kind of just doing their thing because CM Punk isn't there. And you can be very upset with the Young Bucks for making that decision and understanding what was going on there. But it was a very similar issue in Ring of Honor, I can imagine, where people are coming just to see Phil Brooks and they don't care about anybody else on that roster. And that can't be a good feeling when you're going out there doing your best, trying to live your dream, and you're living in the shadow of a man who's still alive. It's a different thing when you're living in the shadow of someone who's passed away, or someone who's older than you, and you're never going to get a chance to have a match with them at 100%. It's a different thing when you're living in the shadow of someone that is still alive, that you probably could have beaten, 5-10 years down the road. I mean, 10 years back on the road, not down the road. Maybe down the road too. Nick and Mac Jackson stay in really good shape. I'm pretty sure 5 or 10 years from now, they could kick the shit out of CM Punk. But CM Punk has a certain way of verbally assassinating people and psychologically annihilating people that only a child of abuse could ever fucking know, with the clever, witty lines of what Daddy had to say. When I see CM Punk, I'm reminded of the video game You're Grounded. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's based in Illinois, but it's called You're Grounded. And when I think of Cody Rhodes, for some reason, I think of FNAF. I think of like a William Afton character. And I wonder like what William Afton's father must have been like. What kind of relationship William Afton had with his father. Or if maybe Henry is William's father. This is just a family business of being narcissistic fucking sociopaths, you know? I'm not accusing Dusty Rhodes of being a narcissistic sociopath. I don't know whether he was or not. I don't really have any memories of Dusty either. But Tony Storm and Deonna Purrazzo are actually going to wrestle. Their promo was incredible. It was the perfect amount of time. I didn't have any difficulties watching it. And it made me extremely excited to see what they're going to do next. I'm not really excited to see CM Punk wrestle Cody Rhodes at all. I feel like they would be much better off as a tag team. I don't feel like Cody Rhodes and CM Punk make very good enemies. Peace. This was World War Wrestling.